Welcome to the channel The Coins Explorer. And before you toss away that handful of dimes jingling in your pocket, let me ask you something that might just change your life. What if I told you that one of those ordinary-looking 10-cent pieces could be worth millions of dollars, enough to buy you a dream house, a luxury car, or even set you up for life? You might think I'm exaggerating, you might think it's too good to be true, but stick with me because today we're diving deep into the world of the 2019 P dime, a coin that looks so normal, so everyday, that thousands of people have probably spent it without even a second glance. Yet this little piece of metal has the potential to turn an average person into a millionaire overnight. Now, let me blow your mind right away. The most valuable examples of the 2019 P dime have been estimated to reach values in the million-dollar range. And yes, you heard that right. Million with an M. Not thousands, not hundreds of thousands, but actual life-changing millions of dollars that could completely transform your financial future in an instant. But here's where it gets even more exciting. Before we wrap up today, I'm going to reveal two more dimes that will absolutely shock you. Coins that are hiding in plain sight. Coins that could be sitting in your change jar right now. And trust me when I say the values we're talking about will leave you speechless. So make absolutely sure you stick around until the very end, because missing out on this information could literally cost you a fortune. Now, let's talk about why the 2019 P dime has become such a sensation in the numismatic world. And to understand that, we need to go back to 2019, when the Philadelphia Mint was cranking out millions upon millions of these Roosevelt dimes. Business as usual, right? The Philadelphia Mint, marked by that distinctive P Mint mark, has been producing coins for over 2 centuries, and in 2019, they continued their tradition of striking dimes featuring the iconic profile of President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse and the torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse, symbols representing liberty, peace, and strength. During the year, the Mint produced approximately 1.36 billion dimes for circulation, which means these coins flooded into banks, stores, and pockets across America, becoming part of everyday transactions without anyone thinking twice about them. But here's where the story gets fascinating. Among those billions of ordinary dimes, there exist extraordinary specimens that possess characteristics making them worth astronomical amounts to collectors. And these aren't always ancient coins from centuries past. No, sometimes the most valuable treasures are hiding in modern mintage. The 2019 P dime can achieve million-dollar valuations primarily due to several factors, including mint errors, extraordinary condition, and rare varieties that occurred during the production process. Let me break down the specific types of errors and conditions that transform a 10-cent piece into a million-dollar treasure. First, there's the incredibly rare full band designation on Roosevelt dimes, where the horizontal bands on the torch must be completely visible and sharply struck with no weakness whatsoever. And when you combine this with a perfect MS-70 grade from professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, you're looking at a coin that maybe only one or two exist in the entire world. But wait, there's more. Imagine a 2019 P dime struck on a wrong planchet, perhaps on a quarter planchet or even a foreign planchet, creating a massive error that should never have escaped the Mint's quality control. And when such errors occur, collectors go absolutely crazy because these mistakes represent unique pieces of minting history that can never be replicated. There have been whispers in the collecting community about a 2019 P dime struck with a double die error, where the design elements appear doubled due to a misalignment during the hub and die creation process. And if such a coin exists in high grade with dramatic doubling visible to the naked eye, it could command prices that would make your head spin. Another factor that drives values into the stratosphere is provenance. If a 2019 P dime was part of a famous collection, perhaps owned by a legendary numismatist or discovered in an incredible find story, that history adds tremendous value beyond just the coin's physical characteristics. Think about it this way. Condition is everything in the coin collecting world, and when we're talking about modern coins, achieving perfect grades becomes increasingly difficult because even the slightest microscopic imperfection, a tiny scratch, a minuscule bag mark, or the faintest hint of wear can drop a coin from MS-70 to MS-69, and that grade difference can mean hundreds of thousands of dollars in value. The grading scale goes from poor 1 all the way up to MS-70 for mint state perfection, and at the absolute pinnacle of this scale, where coins are flawless under high magnification, that's where the truly extraordinary values exist. Professional grading companies use expert numismatists who examine every millimeter of a coin surface under specialized lighting and magnification, looking at the luster, strike quality, eye appeal, and any contact marks or imperfections, and they must all agree on the grade before a coin receives its final designation, which is then sealed in a tamper-evident holder with a unique serial number that can be verified online. When it comes to the 2019 P dime specifically, finding one in your pocket change that's already circulated is common, but finding one that's never been touched, never been dropped, never been in contact with other coins, and has been preserved in absolute pristine condition from the moment it left the mint, that's where the magic happens. Auction records for top population Roosevelt dimes, meaning those graded higher than any others of their kind, have shown that collectors will pay premium prices that seem insane to the average person, but make perfect sense to serious numismatists who understand that they're acquiring something that might be truly one of a kind in the world. Imagine being the person who finds such a coin. Maybe you received it as change at a grocery store. Maybe it was sitting in your grandfather's drawer. Maybe it fell between your couch cushions, and you decide to have it professionally examined, and the grader's eyes widen as they realize they're holding something exceptional, something that could sell for millions at auction. The story doesn't end with just condition though. Variety collectors search for die markers, small characteristics that identify specific dies used in production, and some dies create coins with special features that become highly sought after, like repunched mint marks where the P was stamped twice slightly off-center, or clash marks where the obverse and reverse dies accidentally struck each other without a planchet between them, leaving ghost images of one side on the other. Metal composition errors also create valuable varieties. What if a 2019 P dime was accidentally struck on a silver planchet instead of the standard copper-nickel clad composition, creating a coin with wrong metal that's immediately detectable by its weight and color? Such errors, while extremely rare in modern minting with advanced quality control, have occurred in the past, and when they do, they become legendary in the numismatic community. There's also the phenomenon of mint state examples that were part of special sets, perhaps first strikes from new dies that have the sharpest, most crisp details possible, or coins that were hand-selected by mint employees for their exceptional quality and preserved in special holders from day one. These pieces carry premium values because they represent the absolute best of what the mint produced that year. Collectors who specialize in Roosevelt dimes. And yes, there are people who dedicate decades to studying and collecting just this one series, know every tiny variety, every possible error, and every condition rarity that exists, and they're willing to pay top dollar to complete their collections with the finest examples available. The psychology of collecting also plays a huge role in these values. The thrill of the hunt, the satisfaction of finding the needle in the haystack, the prestige of owning something that almost nobody else has, these emotional factors drive prices to levels that purely logical analysis might not support. But that's the beauty of collecting. It's not just about money, it's about passion, history, and the human desire to possess rare treasures. When a truly exceptional 2019 P dime comes to market, whether through major auction houses like Heritage, Stack's Bowers, or Legend Rare Coin auctions, the bidding can become fierce as wealthy collectors compete for the privilege of adding it to their holdings, and sometimes the final hammer price shocks even the experts who thought they knew what the coin would bring. Remember, The coin market is driven by supply and demand, and when supply is virtually non-existent for a particular grade or variety, but demand from wealthy collectors is strong, prices can reach levels that seem unbelievable to outsiders, but represent fair market value within the specialized numismatic community. So right now, this very moment, you might have a 2019 P dime worth millions sitting in your possession without even knowing it. It could be in your change jar, your wallet, your car's cup holder, anywhere. The key is knowing what to look for and having the courage to get your coins professionally examined rather than assuming they're all just face value. But don't go anywhere yet because we've only scratched the surface. The next coin we're exploring will take this excitement to a whole new level. A dime from a different year with characteristics so rare and values so shocking that you'll want to run and check every coin you own. And the final coin, oh my goodness, the final coin will be the ultimate grand prize. A dime that represents the absolute pinnacle of what's possible in the world of 10-cent pieces. So whatever you do, do not click away because the information coming up could literally change your financial future forever. Next, 2013 D dime. And here we are at the grand finale, the ultimate treasure, the coin that represents the absolute peak of value and rarity in the modern Roosevelt dime series. If you've made it this far, congratulations, because you're about to learn information that could literally change your life if you happen to have one of these extraordinary coins in your possession. The 2013 D dime from the Denver Mint has achieved legendary status among serious collectors, with the most exceptional specimens reaching valuations in the multi-million-dollar range, prices so high that they rival rare gold coins, classic rarities, and museum-quality treasures from centuries past. Let that sink in for a moment. A dime, a simple 10-cent piece from just over a decade ago, worth more than most people earn in their entire lifetime. Now, you might be wondering what could possibly make a relatively modern coin worth such an astronomical amount, and the answer lies in a perfect storm of factors including incredible rarity in top grades, spectacular mint errors, and the insatiable demand from wealthy collectors who will stop at nothing to own the very best examples available. The Denver Mint in 2013 struck approximately 1.02 billion Roosevelt dimes for circulation, sending them into the American economy where they became part of everyday transactions, completely indistinguishable from any other dime to the untrained eye. But here's where things get absolutely insane. Among those billion-plus coins, there exist specimens so perfect, so flawless, so extraordinary that they transcend being mere currency and become genuine works of art that happen to be made of metal. The 2013 D dime can achieve million-dollar-plus valuations through several pathways, and I'm going to explain each one in detail so you understand exactly what to look for and why these coins are so incredibly valuable. First and foremost, there's the condition rarity factor. Finding a 2013 D dime in perfect MS-70 condition with full bands designation is like winning the lottery. Finding a four-leaf clover and getting struck by lightning all at the same time, it's that rare. The full bands designation requires that the horizontal bands on Roosevelt's torch be struck with complete definition showing full separation between each band with no weakness, no mushiness, no blending whatsoever, and achieving this requires perfect die alignment, perfect striking pressure, perfect planchet quality, and a bit of luck. When you combine full bands with an MS-70 grade, meaning the coin is absolutely flawless under magnification with perfect luster, no contact marks, no hairlines, no spots, and exceptional eye appeal, you're talking about a coin that might be the only one of its kind in existence. Population reports from PCGS and NGC, the two most respected grading services in the world, show us that certain dates and mint mark combinations have 0 or maybe one example graded MS-70 full bands, and when something is truly unique, when it's the finest known specimen of its kind, wealthy collectors will pay whatever it takes to own it. But condition rarity is just the beginning of what makes 2013 D dimes potentially worth millions. Error coins from this year represent some of the most spectacular and valuable modern mint errors ever discovered. Imagine a 2013 D dime struck on a wrong planchet, perhaps on a cent planchet, creating a tiny dime struck on copper-plated zinc, or on a quarter planchet creating an oversized dime, or even more incredibly, on a silver planchet creating a coin with completely wrong metal composition that's immediately obvious by its different weight and color. Wrong planchet errors are exceptionally rare in modern minting because the U.S. Mint employs sophisticated quality control, including upset mills that create the raised rim and would reject planchets of the wrong size, weight counting machines that would detect anomalies, and visual inspection stations where trained eyes watch for anything unusual. For a wrong planchet error to escape all of these safeguards and make it into circulation is almost miraculous, which is exactly why such errors command enormous premiums when discovered. There's also the possibility of major die errors on 2013 D dimes, and I'm talking about dramatic double dies where the doubling is so strong and so obvious that you can see it with your naked eye without any magnification. A Class 1 double die occurs when the hub shifts between multiple impressions into the die during the die-making process, creating a strong doubling of design elements like Roosevelt's profile, the letters in Liberty, the date, or the "I in God We Trust" motto. And when this doubling is severe and appears on a high-grade coin, it becomes instantly famous in the numismatic community, with collectors scrambling to acquire examples. The most valuable double dies are those where the doubling creates a dramatic visual impact, where you can clearly see two complete impressions of letters or design elements, creating what looks almost like a blurry double exposure on the coin surface. Die breaks, cuds, and retained die breaks represent another category of valuable 2013 D dime errors. Imagine a piece of the die literally breaking off during the striking process, creating a raised featureless blob on the finished coins where the missing piece of die should have created design details, and the larger and more dramatic this die break, the more valuable the resulting error coins become. A major cud that obliterates significant portions of the design, perhaps covering half of Roosevelt's face or eliminating several letters of text, creates a spectacular error that's immediately obvious and highly desirable to error collectors. Off-center strikes represent yet another error type that can create valuable 2013 D dimes. When a planchet is fed into the striking chamber but isn't properly centered between the dies, the strike occurs partially off the planchet, creating a coin where part of the design is missing and part of the planchet is blank, and the more off-center the strike, the more dramatic and valuable the error becomes, with 50% off-center or more being particularly desirable. Broad strikes occur when the collar that normally constrains the metal during striking is missing or malfunctioning, allowing the metal to spread out beyond its normal diameter, creating an oversized coin with flat edges instead of the normal reeded edge. And these are striking errors that create coins noticeably different from normal examples. Multiple strike errors, where a coin is struck 2 or more times by the dies in different orientations, create some of the most spectacular-looking error coins imaginable, with overlapping design elements creating a chaotic but fascinating appearance that makes each example absolutely unique. Clipped planchets, where a portion of the planchet is missing before striking, creating a coin with a chunk cut out of it, come in various types including straight clips, curved clips, and ragged clips depending on how the missing portion was created. And while these are generally less valuable than some other error types, a particularly dramatic clip on a high-grade 2013 D dime could still command substantial premiums. Now let's talk about transitional errors, which are some of the rarest and most valuable errors that can occur. These happen when a planchet intended for one type of coin gets struck with dies meant for a different type, creating combinations that should be impossible. Imagine a 2013 D dime struck on a nickel planchet, or on a dollar planchet, or on a foreign planchet from another country's coinage, creating a coin that's fundamentally wrong in every way, but absolutely fascinating to collectors. The wrong metal composition would be immediately detectable through weight and color differences, and such errors, when discovered and authenticated, become instant classics worth potentially millions depending on the specific combination and condition. There have also been instances of coins struck on experimental planchets or test pieces that were never supposed to leave the mint, creating unique treasures that represent unreleased prototypes or quality control samples that somehow escaped into circulation. The authentication and grading process for potential million-dollar coins is incredibly rigorous. The coin must be submitted to PCGS or NGC, where it undergoes examination by multiple expert graders who verify its authenticity, determine its grade, identify any varieties or errors, and assign it a unique certification number that's permanently recorded in their database and can be verified online by anyone. For error coins, additional authentication may be required from specialist authenticators who have extensive experience identifying genuine errors versus post-mint damage or alterations, because unfortunately, there are people who try to artificially create errors through various methods, and professional authentication protects both buyers and sellers by ensuring only genuine mint-made errors receive certification. When a truly extraordinary 2013 D dime comes to market, the auction process becomes intense. Major auction houses like Heritage, Stack's Bowers, or Legend Rare Coin Auctions will feature the coin prominently in their catalog, often on the cover, with detailed photography showing every aspect of the coin under various lighting conditions. And they'll promote it through their extensive network of wealthy collectors who compete for such rarities. The bidding can be fierce, with collectors participating live in the auction room, by phone, or online, and prices can skyrocket beyond pre-sale estimates when two or more determined bidders decide they must own the coin regardless of cost. The record prices achieved by top population coins and spectacular errors have rewritten the book on what modern coins can be worth, proving that you don't need ancient rarities to have extraordinary value. Think about the life-changing impact of discovering you own $1 million coin. You could pay off all your debts, buy your dream home, travel the world, retire early, or set up your children and grandchildren with financial security, all from a single dime that you might have received in change at a fast food restaurant or found in your couch cushions. The real treasure hunt is happening right now, today, as you go through your daily life. Every handful of change you receive could contain that needle in the haystack, that 1 in a billion treasure that changes everything. So what should you do with this information? First, check your coins. Go through every jar, piggy bank, wallet, and coin collection you have, and examine each 2019 P, 2003 D, and 2013 D dime carefully. Look for signs of errors like doubling, off-center strikes, wrong size, unusual weight or color, or any characteristic that seems different from normal dimes. If you find something that looks promising, don't clean it, don't handle it excessively, and definitely don't spend it. Instead, get it professionally examined by a reputable coin dealer or submit it directly to PCGS or NGC for authentication and grading. Even if you don't have $1 million coin, you might have something worth hundreds or thousands of dollars that you didn't know about, and that's still amazing. Second, spread the word. Share this information with family and friends, because someone you know might have one of these treasures without realizing it, and helping someone discover they own something valuable is an incredibly rewarding experience. Third, keep searching, because new discoveries happen all the time in the coin collecting hobby. Coins that were thought to be unique turn out to have additional examples when someone finds another in an old collection, and varieties that weren't previously documented get discovered and added to the reference books. The thrill of the hunt, the excitement of discovery, and the potential for life-changing finds make coin collecting one of the most rewarding hobbies on earth. So remember, those ordinary-looking dimes in your pocket might be extraordinary treasures worth millions, and the only way to know for sure is to check them carefully and get professional opinions on anything that looks unusual. Thank you so much for watching the Coins Explorer, and may your search for treasure be successful beyond your wildest dreams. Next, 2003D dime. And if you thought the 2019 P was incredible, wait until you hear about this treasure from the Denver Mint that's been hiding in circulation for over 2 decades now. Picture this. It's 2003, the Denver Mint, identified by that distinctive D Mint mark, is producing hundreds of millions of Roosevelt dimes. Workers are running the massive coin presses day and night. Quality control inspectors are watching the process. Everything seems routine and normal. But somewhere in that massive production run, something went spectacularly wrong. Or perhaps spectacularly right, depending on how you look at it, because certain 2003D dimes possess characteristics that make them worth millions of dollars today. And yes, I mean millions with a capital M. The highest valued specimens of the 2003D dime have reached estimated values in the $1 million range at major numismatic auctions, with wealthy collectors fighting tooth and nail to add these extraordinary pieces to their private collections. And here's the thing that should make your heart race. These coins entered circulation, which means they're out there right now, possibly in someone's piggy bank, possibly in a forgotten drawer, possibly even in your possession at this very moment. Now let me tell you exactly what makes certain 2003D dimes so incredibly valuable that they could literally pay off your mortgage, buy you a fleet of luxury cars, or fund your retirement in absolute comfort. The Denver Mint in 2003 struck approximately 1.41 billion Roosevelt dimes for general circulation, sending them to banks and businesses across the United States, where they became part of everyday commerce, handed out as change in restaurants, grocery stores, gas stations, and vending machines without anyone giving them a second thought. But among those billions of ordinary dimes, there exist specimens that are anything but ordinary. We're talking about coins with dramatic mint errors, coins in impossibly perfect condition, and coins with rare varieties that occurred during very specific moments in the production process when everything aligned just right, or just wrong, to create something extraordinary. One of the most sought-after varieties of the 2003D dime involves what collectors call a full split band designation, where the horizontal bands on Roosevelt's torch are struck with such incredible sharpness and definition that they show complete separation with no weakness whatsoever, no blending, no mushiness, just perfect crisp detail that's extremely difficult to achieve even under ideal minting conditions. When you combine this full band designation with a flawless grade of MS70 from PCGS or NGC, you're talking about a coin that might be literally one of a kind in the entire world, a singular example of absolute perfection that can command prices reaching into the millions. But the story gets even more fascinating when we talk about error coins from 2003D. Imagine a dime that was struck on the wrong planchet, perhaps on a cent planchet making it much smaller than normal, or on a quarter planchet making it larger, or even on a foreign planchet that somehow contaminated the production line, creating a coin that should never exist according to U.S. Mint specifications. Such wrong planchet errors are incredibly rare in modern minting because quality control has become so sophisticated with metal detectors, weight sensors, and visual inspection systems designed to catch mistakes before they escape the facility. But occasionally, just occasionally, something slips through, and when it does, it becomes the stuff of legend in the numismatic community. There's also the possibility of major die errors on 2003D dimes, such as a dramatically doubled die where the design elements, like Roosevelt's profile, the letters, the date, or the mint mark appear doubled due to a shift in the die during the hubbing process, and when this doubling is strong enough to see with the naked eye and appears on a coin in high grade, collectors go absolutely insane trying to acquire it. Die cracks, cuds, and die breaks represent another category of valuable errors. Imagine a 2003D dime where a piece of the die literally broke off during striking, creating a raised blob of metal on the finished coin, or a die crack that runs through important design elements creating a dramatic linear raised ridge. These are production abnormalities that make each affected coin unique and highly collectible. The metal composition of 2003D dimes should be the standard copper-nickel clad composition with a pure copper core and outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel. But what if, just what if, a planchet made of the wrong metal got mixed into the production line? Perhaps a silver planchet left over from an earlier era, or a planchet intended for foreign coinage, or even a test planchet used for experimental purposes, and got struck with the 2003D dime dies, creating a coin with completely wrong metal composition that would be immediately detectable by its different weight, color, and ring tone when dropped on a hard surface. Such transitional errors and wrong metal strikes have occurred in U.S. mint history, creating some of the most valuable and sought-after error coins ever discovered. And while they're exceptionally rare, they do exist, and they do occasionally surface when someone gets their coins examined. Condition rarity is another massive factor in the value of 2003D dimes. You see, while over 1 billion were minted, finding one in perfect pristine condition is like finding a needle in a haystack the size of Montana. Most dimes from 2003 that are still around today show some degree of circulation where they've been dropped, scratched, dinged, exposed to moisture, handled with dirty fingers, or stored in conditions that cause toning or spotting, and all of these factors reduce grade and therefore value. But imagine a 2003D dime that was never spent, never circulated, never even touched by human hands after leaving the mint. Perhaps it was part of a mint set that was immediately sealed and stored in climate-controlled conditions, or it was pulled from a fresh roll by a collector who recognized its exceptional eye appeal and preserved it properly from day one. These are the coins that achieve the highest grades and command the biggest prices. The grading process for modern coins is incredibly rigorous and exacting. Professional graders examine every square millimeter of the coin surface under high-powered magnification and specialized lighting, looking for any imperfection no matter how minute, checking the luster pattern to ensure it hasn't been cleaned or altered, examining the strike quality to see if all design elements are sharp and fully formed, and evaluating the overall eye appeal, which includes factors like color, toning, and visual impact. A coin graded MS-70 must be absolutely flawless with no defects visible even under 5x magnification, perfect centering, full mint luster, and exceptional eye appeal, and achieving this grade on a coin from 2003 that's been out in the world for over 20 years is extremely difficult. The population reports from PCGS and NGC show us exactly how many coins of each date and grade have been certified by their services. And when you look at the 2003D dime population in MS-70, you might find only a handful exist in the entire world. And if you narrow it down further to MS-70 with full bands designation, you might find 0 or maybe just 1 or 2 specimens. And that's when values go absolutely crazy because multiple wealthy collectors are competing for something that's essentially unique. Auction records show that top population coins, meaning those graded higher than any others or tied for the highest grade known, can sell for multiples of what a coin 1 grade point lower would bring. An MS-69 might sell for hundreds of dollars, while an MS-70 of the same coin might sell for hundreds of thousands, or even millions depending on rarity and demand. There's also the fascinating world of variety collecting where specialists search for die marriages, specific combinations of obverse and reverse dies that create identifiable characteristics, and some of these marriages are much rarer than others, creating specialty niches where dedicated collectors will pay premium prices for examples they need to complete their variety sets. Repunched mint marks, where the D was stamped twice in slightly different positions creating a doubling effect on the mint mark itself, are highly sought after by variety collectors, and when found on high-grade 2003D dimes, they command substantial premiums over ordinary examples. Dye polishing lines, clash marks, and other production characteristics can also create collectible varieties that specialized collectors actively seek, and the more dramatic and visible these characteristics are, the more valuable the coin becomes. Now think about the real-life treasure hunt aspect of this. Somewhere out there, right now, someone might have a coffee can full of change in their garage that includes $1 million 2003 dime, or a child's piggy bank might contain a fortune that nobody recognizes, or an elderly person's coin collection assembled decades ago might include specimens that have appreciated astronomically in value, as the population of high-grade examples has been definitively established through professional grading. The stories of regular people finding valuable coins in ordinary circumstances are legendary in the numismatic community. The person who found a rare error in their pocket change and sold it for enough money to buy a house, the family who discovered Grandpa's coin collection was worth millions after having it properly evaluated, the bank teller who spotted something unusual and ended up changing their financial future forever. These aren't fairy tales. These are real stories that happen in the coin collecting world, and they could happen to you if you know what to look for and take the time to examine your coins carefully. The emotional impact of discovering you own something extraordinarily valuable is hard to describe. Imagine the moment when a professional grader tells you that the coin you brought in, the one you almost didn't bother having examined, is worth more than your car, more than your annual salary, possibly more than your house, and it came from a simple roll of dimes you got from the bank. That moment of realization, that feeling of shock and joy and disbelief all mixed together, it's what drives people to search through thousands upon thousands of coins hoping to find that one special piece. But hold on to your seats because we're not done yet. There's still one more dime to discuss, and this final coin is going to be the ultimate grand prize, the crown jewel, the absolute pinnacle of what's possible in the dime collecting world. So you absolutely must stay tuned because what I'm about to reveal will blow your mind.